Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming along to our webinar today, all about Level 3 Assignment A. Just in case we have some Level 5 people in, this isn't really relevant to Level 5, okay? You can absolutely stay, and hear what we have to say, but this webinar is going to be all about Level 3 Assignment A. So just in case I haven't met you before, my name is Mairead and I've been teaching since 2003/4. Okay, so a long time. And I've been with the TEFL Academy since 2015. So hopefully I'll have lots of tips and insights to share with you regarding this Level 3 Assignment A. As always, I will give a presentation on the assignment for the first half hour or so, and then there will be plenty of time for questions and answers. Okay, so as I'm talking, please type in any questions you have related to Level 3 Assignment A, or jot them down for you to ask me later. Because we have tons of time for questions, and I know there are always lots of questions regarding assignments. So now that the introductions are over, let's jump in. And again, let me all remind you that this is about Level 3 Assignment A. Okay, let's go. So, Level 3 Assignment A. It's geared towards assessing a number of things, okay? Things that you will have encountered in the course content. So, this assignment assesses your ability to produce learning aims and objectives for a specified lesson type and class level. It assesses your ability to produce lesson plans for a specified lesson type and class level. It assesses your ability to source resources. Source resources, that sounds funny. You know what I mean. It also assesses your ability to write personal reflections for learning and teaching. The reflection process is so important, especially when you're starting out. So we will definitely talk about that a little more later. It assesses your ability to plan a lesson stage in which students are led to analyse the target language. Okay. And it assesses your ability to use language that is appropriate for a specified class. So there's a lot going on in Level 3 Assignment A. Okay, lots for you all to take on board. Let's take a look now at all of the components of the assignment. So the first thing you have to do, you have to download some documents, okay? There are 2 documents that you need to download for the completion of Level 3 Assignment A. The most important one is the main template, okay? So if you go to the bottom of the instructions page, you will find a file called main template. And that is what you are going to use to do your entire assignment, okay? It has a lot of instructions, a lot of headings, okay? Keep everything there, okay? Do not delete anything. You are just going to fill in the relevant bits of that main template, okay? You will find that the main template includes a lesson plan template. It also includes a space for you to do your personal reflection. More on that later. And it also includes a space for a bibliography. So all of that is to be found on the main template. You will also find a materials file template. So that is where you are going to put your worksheets, okay? Again, we'll talk about that later. But you have your main template where 99% of the action happens and your materials file template. You will also see that along with the templates, you can download a model lesson, just so you see what a completed assignment should look like. Please bear in mind though, the model lesson is just there as an example. It is actually based on a different form, so it is not relevant in content to the assignment, but it is very useful to give you an idea what a completed assignment should look like. So absolutely check out the model files, please. Okay, but bear in mind that the content is totally different to what you need to produce in your assignment. Okay, so as long as you download your main template and your materials file template, you are good to go. That is everything you need to do this assignment. So, who am I planning this lesson for? Well, at the beginning of the instructions page, there will be a case study. Okay, it will give you some context for the students that you are teaching, albeit imaginary students, but still, we all need context to get us going. So when you are planning your lesson, do bear in mind the age of the students you're teaching, the country, and the level. Okay. If I remember correctly, your imaginary students are aged between 10 and 12, so young learners. They are based in Thailand. So, you will need to bear that in mind in terms of your cultural references and if they will understand them or not. And they are A2 level. Okay. So maybe late elementary, early pre-intermediate. Okay. There's way more information in the case study. Okay. So do check it out before you start the assignment, because that will inform all of the decisions you make. So the main part of an assignment is a lesson plan. Okay. You are going to produce a lesson plan for the imaginary learners described in the case study. Now, we're kind of hitting or killing two birds with one stone here, in that you are planning a face-to-face lesson, but you also have the opportunity to say how you would adapt it if it were to be an online lesson. Okay, so for the face-to-face lesson, you'll be filling in the teacher activity, what the teacher does, the student activity, what they do, in response to the teacher activity. And then you'll also see a little box that says online adaptations. And this is where you will outline what you would do to change the face-to-face lesson to suit an online lesson. So for example, if you say that in the face-to-face lesson, you would use a blackboard or a whiteboard and markers, in the online adaptation box, you would say, instead of a whiteboard, I would use a virtual whiteboard. Okay. Or if in the face-to-face lesson plan, you say, I would hand out some worksheets to the students, in the online adaptations section, you would say, I would use file share. Yeah. Or I would drop a link to the worksheet in the chat box. Okay. So the bulk of your lesson plan will be taken up with your face-to-face, plan. But you will also have to put 2 or 3 adaptations that you would make per stage if the lesson were to be online. If that sounds a bit confusing, not to worry. You will see that there are some examples on the templates. Okay, just so you can see exactly what I mean. When you see the template, it will make far more sense. So just bear in mind then that this is a face-to-face lesson and you will be planning it accordingly. Okay, like describing what you would do, what the students would do. But you will also have to show some insight into adaptations that would be necessary for an online lesson. Okay, let's dig a bit deeper into the lesson plan. You need to write some aims and objectives. Now, this information is right at the beginning of the online course. Okay, well, it's at the beginning of the lesson planning unit. Okay, the content talks you through how to write an effective aim and how to write effective objectives. So if it's a while since you've done that unit, please do go back before you start the assignment, because it's really, really important that you understand the differences between an aim and an objective. Speaking very generally, an aim is your overall purpose for the lesson. Like, what do you want students to be able to do at the end of the lesson? Okay, that is your aim. And the objectives are all of the different steps that you will take in order to reach your aim. Okay, so I always think of it like driving. Okay, we very rarely hop in our cars with absolutely no destination in mind, do we? Like, we never just hop in and say, oh, I'm just going to randomly drive. I don't know where, I don't know for how long, I'm just going to randomly drive. I don't know about you all, but I never do that. I always have a destination in mind. And your destination is your aim, okay? It's where you're going. It's where you want to end up at the end of the lesson. And then the objectives are more like the little stops you might make or the towns you might go through on the way to your destination. Hopefully that analogy makes sense. That's how I always think of it in my head. But please do go to the unit on lesson planning and you will find extensive information and examples on aims and objectives there. It's important that you keep your aims and objectives focused on the target language. Now, the target language in this context means the exact grammar point that we are teaching. Okay, so when it comes to aims and objectives, they need to be specific because, you know, we're teaching something different in every class, right? So we need to keep our aims and objectives specific to whatever we are doing in that specific lesson plan. You will see on the template that there is a space for you to add one aim, one main aim, and 3 objectives. Okay, so you will need to sit down and think about those carefully. And when you're ready, put them in the template. Now, your lesson plan for Level 3 Assignment A is going to be in PPP format. Okay, this is also examined extensively in the course materials. So if you can't quite remember what PPP means, please go back and have a look. Okay, it is all in the course material. Basically, a PPP lesson plan format is a specific lesson structure. Okay, the first P stands for presentation, the second practice, and the third production. Okay, and at the very beginning, we will have a warmer, and at the very end, a plenary to wrap up. Okay, so again, before you sit down to do this assignment, please review the unit all about PPP lessons because it's vital that you understand this in order to do the assignment well. Okay, and as we said, your students are going to be aged 10 to 12 and they're going to be A2 level. Okay, so, you know, A2 is not a high level. Okay, it's still pretty low. Yeah, you know, these young learners don't have a lot of English at their disposal yet. So you will have to bear that in mind while planning. Okay, we need to give them an achievable lesson. Okay, we don't want to give them anything too complicated that they're not ready for yet. So yeah, bear in mind PPP, presentation, practice, produce. Now, before we mentioned that your aims and objectives need to be focused on the target language. And I told you that the target language is the grammar point that you are going to teach in that lesson. So I can tell you right now that the target language for Level 3 Assignment A is the past continuous tense for interrupted actions. All right. For example, I was playing outside when my mom called me. All right. So it's not just the past continuous on its own. Yeah. Like I was working. Okay. It's not just that. It's the past continuous for interrupted actions. So I was working when my phone rang. All right. So that's the entire structure that you'll be teaching. So we have past continuous plus when plus past simple. Okay, that entire structure is what you're teaching. It's really important that you research both form and function. In other words, before you start planning, you've got to know how do you make your structure, as I just told you there, past continuous plus when plus past simple. And you've also got to be clear on the function or why we use it. And we use it for interrupted actions in the past. Okay. It's really important that you remember to teach the full structure. Don't forget the interruption. Like if you just teach, I was working, okay, that will not fulfill the brief. We need the interruption. Like I was working when I heard a knock at the door. Okay. And please, please, please only use when as your connecting word. Okay. We do not want while. We do not need anything else. Okay. We only want when. So that will make life a lot easier for you. Okay. Because you just need to focus on that one specific linker. So that is what you are going to plan to teach your young learners A2 level. All right. A couple of tips for your lesson plan. Remember before I spoke about the online adaptations. So remember, we only want 2 or 3 adaptations per stage. Okay. And keep in mind that the online adaptation is for the same lesson. So it's not like you're planning a whole other lesson. Please don't. The online adaptation has to mirror the face-to-face plan. Okay. So as we said, you'll be thinking of things like use a virtual whiteboard, use a file share, use breakout rooms. Okay. Or use a virtual game like Kahoot. Okay. Use virtual worksheets that they can complete online. Okay. They're the type of suggestions that we're looking for online adaptations. Okay. And again, as I said, there is a model assignment there with your files. It's for a different form, so you can't lift it and use it directly, but you can use it to guide you in terms of what your assignment should look like and the level of detail you need to go into. All right. Now, I mentioned before that there is also a materials file template that you need to download. Let's talk a little bit more about that. So in the materials file, you need to include all of your materials. For example, worksheets. If you are already familiar with the PPP lesson plan method, you will know that the second P, practice, is usually a controlled practice activity. Like maybe it's a worksheet with, fill in the gaps, okay? Maybe a gap fill activity, or maybe it's a matching activity, or maybe it's a load of sentences jumbled up and the students need to put them in the right order. Okay, that's the type of thing you do for the controlled practice stage or the practice stage. So you need to show us the exact worksheet that you would use. Okay. If you say in the plan, I would give them a worksheet, but then you don't include the worksheet, we will ask you to resubmit because we need to see the exact worksheet that you would give your students in order to ascertain if you can source resources effectively. Remember, we said that was one of the criteria for assessment. So please include all of your materials in the materials file. Okay, do not just give us a link, okay, because they often don't work or they expire or our assessors just don't want to click on unknown links, which is totally valid. So do not just send a link. I want you to copy and paste the full worksheet into the materials file. Okay, or if it's easier, you can include a screenshot of the full worksheet. Okay. Now, a lot of students find worksheets online related to the past continuous for interrupted actions. That is absolutely fine. Okay, please feel free to find worksheets online, but just make sure that you copy and paste them or screenshot them into the materials file. And crucially, please reference where you found the worksheet online in the bibliography section of the main template. Okay. So once more, because I can't stress how important it is, we need to see the actual contents of the worksheet in the materials file. Okay. Now, we also have some students who go that extra mile and they make up their own worksheet. That is totally fine. Please feel free to do that too if you want. Okay. But again, just make sure it is on the materials file. And perhaps in the bibliography, you can write something like, the worksheet was created by me. Okay, or I created the worksheet. All right. And the same goes for maybe the production task, the freer practice task. Maybe you find a really good speaking activity online. Please, by all means, feel free to use it, but you must put the activity in the materials file and fully reference it in the bibliography. Okay, so yeah, again, you can find your stuff online. That is not a problem, as long as we can see the full activity in the materials file and it is referenced in the bibliography. All right, so I would say that like the main reason for resubmission on this assignment is that students don't attach their materials. Okay, so you can save yourself a lot of time, you can save us a lot of time by making sure that you have included all of your materials, your worksheets, your activities, etc. in the materials file, and you have referenced them fully in the bibliography. But again, that said, if you want to make up your own stuff, please feel free. That is absolutely an option too. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about teacher language. Now, if you have read through the instructions for assignment A already, you will see that you are required to produce some teacher language in the presentation stage. Okay, that would be the first P in our PPP, presentation. So as well as describing like the teacher activity and the student activity, you have got to include 2 questions you would ask to elicit your model sentence from the student. So just in case you need some reminding, eliciting is the process of trying to get the students to tell us before we tell them. Okay, because remember, this isn't a lecture. We're not going into class to like lecture our students. We're involving them in the process. We're trying to help them to figure things out themselves. So you will need to include in the presentation stage 2 questions you would ask to elicit your model sentence. For example, I was working when the phone rang. Yeah, the model sentence is like the sentence you are using as your example. For example, you might ask, what is the person in the picture doing? How can we join these 2 sentences? It will totally depend on the sentence you pick. But yeah, you need to include 2 questions you would ask to elicit your model sentence from the student. You also need to include 2 questions. Oh, I'm sorry, I've got a cold today, which is why I'm sounding a bit sniffly. You also need to include 2 questions you would ask to elicit the form or the structure. For example, what tense is this? What is the verb? What word is connecting the 2? Yeah, because we don't just want to tell our students what the form is. We want to guide them to work it out themselves. All right, so 2 questions to elicit form. Then you also need to include 2 concept checking questions to check if students really understand the meaning of the past continuous for interruptions. So you might ask them something like, did this happen today? hopefully, or did this happen yesterday? Did this happen in the past? Hopefully they say yes. You might ask them, will it happen tomorrow? No, because it's about the past. Okay. Or I was working when the phone rang, which is the long action, which is the shorter action. Yeah. Which action started first? Yeah. So all of that type of thing. Okay. You need to ask some concept checking questions to make sure that they understand. So it would be really useful if in your presentation stage of the lesson plan, you could just put all of that teacher language in bold, just so it really jumps out. So, it's really distinguished from the normal teacher activity, student activity thing. All right. So in total, there will be 6 questions that you should have in bold. All right. 2 to elicit the sentence, 2 to elicit the form, and 2 concept checking questions. Again, all of these things are covered very extensively in the online course content. So please go back and make sure you are familiar with the eliciting process and the concept checking process. Okay, that will help you a lot with the teacher language section in the presentation stage. Okay, so that is it for the lesson plan. All right. If you have any questions about what I've said, please throw the questions into the chat box. Okay, and I will be only too happy to answer any questions you have. But there is another section on the main template. Okay, and a very, very important one. A lot of students think that the lesson plan is the most important thing and the reflection is just kind of an added extra. But no, the reflection is just as important in its own right. Okay, so give it the due attention that it deserves. So you are going to write a reflective essay and using Gibbs' reflective cycle. Okay. If you haven't heard of this, please don't worry. On the main template, we will give you questions to guide every section of the reflection. So even if you don't know what Gibbs' reflective cycle is, it doesn't matter. Okay, just use the headings on the template to guide you and what you write for each section, because the prompts are based on Gibbs' reflective cycle. Okay, the word count here is 450 words. Okay, not including the headings and the questions already on the template. Bear in mind, as always with word counts, we have a plus or minus 10% allowance. All right, so you could go as low as 400 words or as high as 500 words. Okay, give or take. So yeah, always 10% margin on the word counts. And the template will guide you to think and write about factors such as what factors did you consider when planning the lesson? Yeah, for example, how did learner level or target language or context influence your decision? It'll encourage you to think about how you felt during the lesson planning process. Yeah, like did you feel stressed? Did you feel enthusiastic? Were you nervous? Were you eager to get going? Yeah, it'll prompt you to think about your feelings on the process. It will encourage you to think about things like what went well and what didn't go so well in the lesson planning process. Like, were there any challenges, like something you had expected to be easy but turned out to be difficult, and vice versa? Okay, so what went well and what didn't go so well? Because, in order to improve, it's really important to dwell a little bit on the problematic parts, because by understanding why we have a problem with something, it makes us less likely to have that problem again in the future. You can also think about things like, what did you learn about yourself as a result of the lesson planning process? Did you surprise yourself? Did you enjoy it more than you thought? Or perhaps the opposite? Were you expecting to love it and maybe you didn't? Okay, again, it's think about the positive parts as well as the problematic parts. Okay. I think the real learning comes from how we get through the challenges. What will you do differently the next time you plan a lesson? Okay. It's vital to think about that after every lesson, I find. Okay. It's like, okay, that went really well. Let me try that again. I will definitely do that again in future. Or, oof, okay, that did not go well. What could I have done differently? Now, how can I adapt this idea to work better in the future? Okay. So all of these questions and prompts will be on the template. Okay. And there is also, as I said, a model reflection as a guide. Okay, just for you to see what it should look like, what it should read like, etc. But it's really important that you use your own ideas, your own opinions, and your own personal experiences. Trust me when I say, everyone, like, I've been doing this for over 20 years now, and reflection is vital. Okay, self-reflection. A lot of times we don't like if a lesson doesn't go well, or if a lesson plan is, problematic, we often don't like to think about it. We're like, oh, okay, that's over. Let's never think about it again. But trust me, it is the thinking and the reflecting that ultimately makes us better and makes us faster and makes us more efficient at lesson planning. So this is an excellent habit to get into. Okay. So just to finish up my side of things, let me give you some tips, some general tips for level 3 assignment A. Use our templates. Okay. Do not create your own templates. Do not create like a blank document. Okay. Use our templates, please. Okay. Because it's only by using our templates that you can ensure that you complete all of the bits that you need to complete. Okay, so again, don't delete anything. Okay, don't delete the instructions, the headings, just fill in the bits you need to fill in. It's also super important that you convert to PDF before uploading. I believe our system does not allow Word docs or Google Docs to be uploaded. Okay, it will only accept PDF. Okay, so once you have finished completing your templates and you're ready to submit, convert everything to PDF and then upload. If you're not sure how to do that, you will find a ton of tutorials on YouTube that will guide you through the process. Okay. I use YouTube for everything tech. Just YouTube tutorials are just the best things. Thank God for those people. Also, there is a checklist. Okay, you can read it before you submit. I need to double check that the checklist is there, but it will just basically say, have you uploaded your main template? Yes. Have you uploaded your materials file? Yes. Have you named your files? Yes. Okay. Use the naming convention guidelines. You will find all of this information in the assessment handbook. So if you go to the instructions page, you will see that the very first line of the instructions page says, please read the assessment handbook, and there'll be like a light blue link. So click into the assessment handbook, go down to the specific level 3 assignment A page, and it will tell you how to name your files. Okay. So please check that out. Check out the assessment handbook. There is a ton of important information in there. And also, you will need to run your work through our CopyLeaks AI and plagiarism checker. That is a compulsory step. So there is a video on the instructions page that will talk you through that process. Okay. Bear in mind that our tolerance for AI and plagiarism is 30%. Okay, so your main template should be 30% or under. Okay, now because you will be taking, or you might very possibly be taking materials from online, like a worksheet or something for online, we don't really mind at all about the materials score. Okay, so if you get a materials file score of like 90%, that doesn't matter because, we're expecting you to take stuff from online when it comes to materials. But the main template must be your own work, okay? And the scores have to come in at 30% or under, okay, for the main template. Bear in mind that a lot of things can trigger a high AI score. For example, if you run your work through Grammarly or some other virtual writing assistant, that will come up as AI, okay? So please do not use Grammarly or anything like that. We need to see your writing, your English, your own thoughts, etc. Okay. So if you have any questions about anything assignment related, please send a ticket to tutor support. Okay. There is a team of us there waiting to answer your questions. So yeah, any issues at all, be it with assignment instructions, be it with templates, be it with copy leaks, yeah, send your ticket to tutor support. Okay, then when you have submitted everything, okay, when your work has been graded, you will get an email saying that feedback has been posted for your assignment. Okay, make sure to check your inbox and your spam folder. Sometimes these emails go to spam and our students don't get them. So, keep an eye on your spam folder too. To view your assignment feedback, it's very, very simple. Go to your homepage, click on the icon on the top right-hand corner. It looks like a little circle. In that drop-down menu, select grades. Okay. Then you will go to a page that will ask you to click on your course, which is level 3. Okay. And then once you click on that, you will see your feedback at the bottom of the page. Okay. So there will often be like the first line of your feedback and you'll see a little plus sign beside it. You need to click on that plus sign to expand your feedback. Okay. So yeah, click on the plus sign and there your feedback will be. All right. So go to the top right corner to the circle, select grades, click on your course level 3, and then that will take you to your feedback. Okay. Click on the plus sign to expand it and you will see everything your assessor has to say to you about your assignment. Bear in mind that you have 3 attempts in total, okay, to pass an assignment. So if you have to resubmit after your first submission, that's fine. There's no worries, okay? Please don't panic. It's okay to have to resubmit. You have 3 attempts in total. And if you do need to resubmit, your assessor will tell you exactly what sections you need to redo. Bear in mind when you are ready to resubmit, you will need to submit all of your files again. Okay, so for example, if there was only a problem with your reflective essay, yeah, you will fix what the assessor wants you to fix, but you will need to also resubmit your main template along with the, you will need to resubmit the entire main template, not just the section that you needed to resubmit. All right. A lot of our students will email us and ask us, can you please look at my assignment before I submit it to make sure it's okay? We cannot do that. Okay, we cannot preview files or assignment work. All right, I'm sure you will all understand why. Everybody has 3 attempts. It wouldn't be fair to preview some and not others. So yeah, as I said, any questions about anything assignment related or course content related, please contact tutor support and we will be only too happy to help. Okay, wow, that was a lot of information. My voice is about to give up on me, I think, from talking so much. So I am going to turn it over to you. Okay, what questions do you have about Assignment A Level 3? Please type your questions in the chat box. While you are gathering your thoughts and your questions, let me just remind you that all of our previous webinars are available on our YouTube channel. Okay, so please head along to the TEFL Academy YouTube channel. You will find tons of webinars. Do bear in mind though, we have changed these assignments recently, like we changed them at the beginning of this month. Yeah, it's still December, isn't it? I'm confused about Christmas. It is still December. So we changed our assignments at the beginning of this month. So if you see old webinars, like months and months and years old on level 3 assignment A, don't be guided by those, because we have changed the assignment. This is the new level 3 assignment A webinar, but we also have webinars on tons of other interesting topics. So please go to our YouTube channel and check those out. All right, so let's look at some questions. So hello, Susan, good to meet you. In both the level 3A materials template and the level 3A main template, both have a heading bibliography. Oh, is it the same information, copy and paste? Yes, absolutely. You can copy and paste, no problem. Okay, I must check that out, because I guess we should really only have one bibliography, right? But yeah, definitely copy and paste, no problem there. Okay, so Susan, you ask in the bibliography heading, it asks us to give credit. How is this done, as it's just websites? Can it be general for all references used? So here, what we mean here, Susan, is that we need to see the exact place that you got your information. Okay. If you go to the assessment handbook that I spoke about before, there is an entire 2 pages, I think, on how to reference your work. So if it's a website, it will give you the format for referencing a website. Okay. It will basically be a description of, the title of the page, then the URL of the page, and then the date that you accessed the information. Okay. Or, if you took information from the online course, yeah, it will tell you how to reference that. Okay. So please head along to the assessment handbook and read the section on referencing. Okay, that will give you examples and information on how to reference all different types of sources. All right, good. So in total, there are 2 PDF files to upload: L3 materials template and L3 main template. You got it, Susan. Absolutely. You will just be uploading those 2 things. All right, good. You're all over it. Sounds good. Have you already started it, Susan, or are you about to launch in? Hopefully you will find it a relatively straightforward process. Okay. So hello, Shiki. I think I remember your name is Eunice and you're in Florida. Am I correct? I was talking to you last week, I believe, but I could be incorrect. I downloaded the templates back in September and have been using those. Does that mean that they have been changed and I have to download them again? Yes. So I wonder if you're nearly finished, like if you have nearly finished the old templates, or if you're ready to submit on the old templates, you can submit them. Okay, it won't be a problem. All right. But if you have only done maybe a little bit, I would recommend checking out the new templates, because actually the new templates make the assignment shorter and more streamlined. Okay, so if you haven't done too much on the old templates, I would recommend just copying and pasting it over to the new templates. But if you've nearly finished, that's okay. You can go ahead and submit the old templates, no problem. I would say though, if you are going to submit the old templates, see if you can send a ticket to tutor support and just say, I'm going to submit the old templates, just to let you know, so that we can then go to your marker and say, it's been okayed, there's no problem. All right. So yeah, go ahead. You can submit on the old templates. All right. Thank you, Eunice. So yes, it's me. Haha. My memory is still there and I've nearly finished. Okay, yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. Submit on the old templates. No problem. All right. Susan, does the worksheet that we used in our lesson plan only need to be in the material template, not the main template? Yes, Susan, put it on the materials file. Okay, that's the place for it. All right. Okay. When filling in the lesson plan from subheading to the next subheading, fonts change, text size change, color change, can we edit the text so it's all the same? Yeah, absolutely. No problem. Like I would just fill it all in and then before I'm ready to submit, just, select all, change to Arial or whatever, size 12, whatever your preference is. That's not a problem at all. All right. There are large gaps between headings and page breaks in the main template. You can leave that as is. And if required to change, how do we do this? We are not MS Word users. Oh, experts. Yeah, I hear you, Susan. Me neither, by any stretch. Yeah, you can leave it as it is. Don't worry about it. As long as everything is there and complete, we're happy. All right. Yeah, don't worry about the gaps. Okay, good. So let's see, let's have a look back and make sure I didn't miss anything. We still have time, we still have 10 minutes, So any other doubts? Like maybe if you have questions about the PPP format, if you have questions about aims or objectives, now's the time. We have 10 minutes. Okay, I think I got everything right. Yeah, I think I've got all the questions answered so far. All right, so let's go. Rack those brains for more questions. It would be a shame not to make the most of the time. I apologize for sniffing. I have the worst cold. I think, well, I'm in Ireland, so I think all of Ireland has the flu at the moment. It is just so typically winter here. It's cold. Everybody is sick. I was just thinking earlier, in the olden days, like when you were sick and you wouldn't go to work. Now we can't do that anymore, can we? Okay, even if we're sick, we're like, hey, online, show up. So yes, many, many apologies for the sniffing. I hope all of you are a lot healthier than I am at the moment. All right, Susan and Zelly, you are so welcome. I'm glad it's helpful. Like I know doing online courses, it can be hard not to have that person on hand to ask questions to. So, we are more than delighted to do these webinars because it gives you the chance to ask, all of those little questions that were maybe holding you up. Instead of, access to a person face-to-face though, you do have the tutor support team. There are always people on duty all day, every day. So any questions you have, send along a message to tutor support, please. All right. So I don't see any more questions. So if there are no more questions, I'll give it like 1 more minute. We can end the webinar and you can get working on these assignments, on your assignment while all of this information is fresh in your mind. Okay. I guess Christmas and New Year is a good time, for you to get working on these assignments. Perhaps you have just a little bit more free time than you would ordinarily have. So yeah, it's a great use of time. There will be a webinar for Level 3 Assignment B, I think next month or the month after. So do also please tune in for that, and then that will be all of the assignments covered for you. Okay, everyone, thank you all so much for coming along. Much appreciated, and I hope that it's been useful and that it has given you a much better idea of what is expected in this assignment. As always, we would love to know your thoughts on this webinar, because, we just want to give you content that is useful for you. So if you have a moment, we would appreciate it if you could fill in this very short survey on the webinar. And it will also give you the opportunity to tell us what you would like us to cover. Okay, because we definitely want to give you what you want. Okay, we want the webinars to be useful. So you can hop along to this website that I am putting in the chat box and take a moment to fill out our survey, please. All right, and Susan, you make it sound so easy. Oh, thank you, Susan. Thank you. I hope it's been helpful. Any questions at all, send a ticket to tutor support. All right, everyone. I hope to see you all again soon. Enjoy the rest of your holidays, and goodbye. Thank you for coming.